Throughout his entire career, Khabib Nurmagomedov was funded by a corrupt Russian oligarch named Ziyavudin Magomedov, who is now locked in prison for 19 years.
Why you took money from Magomedov? Hold on, you took money. You took money from Magomedov and you were a little lick-ass rat.
The man with close ties to Vladimir Putin allegedly paid for all of Khabib's training camps, founded his Gym Eagles MMA, and even showered him with lavish gifts throughout his career. But after embezzling a reported $180 million of Russian state funds, Khabib's sponsor now finds himself behind bars.
I hope it's okay. You know, we pray for him, and we'll see what's gonna happen. We will see.
And now, without his financial backing, Khabib is rumored to have changed his citizenship to the UAE to avoid paying over $3 million taxes, which he owes to the Russian government. So who is this mystery man that sponsored Khabib's entire career? And why is he in prison? When it comes to Khabib and the UFC, money was never really a problem from the beginning. After a few victories, his contract was reportedly $65,000 to show and $65,000 to win prior to 2016. While that doesn't come close to the millions he'd go on to make, it was above what most UFC fighters were earning at that stage in their career. And Khabib was seemingly throwing his money around like it was going out of fashion. Whether it was driving a $130,000 Mercedes AMG GT, or offering Tony Ferguson an extra $200K to fight him, Khabib looked to be an incredibly wealthy fighter. And when his friend unfortunately totaled the AMG, Khabib was soon spotted driving an even more expensive red Ferrari California. But while Khabib was earning decent money from the UFC, he was incredibly inactive due to injury. From early 2014 to early 2016, Khabib didn't fight at all. So without earning anything from fighting for 2 full years, where did all of that money come from? Well, it turns out Khabib had a financial sponsor back in Russia, a corrupt billionaire by the name of Ziyavudin Magomedov, a former friend of Vladimir Putin locked behind bars after trying to hide $180 million from the Russian government. But who is Magomedov, and why did he take such an interest in both Khabib and mixed martial arts? Ziyavudin Magomedov was a Russian oligarch with incredibly close ties to Putin and the Russian government. In 2017, he was ranked 63rd on Forbes' list of richest business people in Russia, with his net worth estimated to be around $1.2 billion. The majority of his wealth was made between 2008 and 2012, during the exact same time where Putin had to take a mandatory step down as the Russian head of state due to laws around the same person being president for too long. It turns out that Magomedov had a closer relationship with the stand-in president Dmitry Medvedev than he ever did with Putin. With Medvedev's help, Magomedov's company Suma Group, that worked within Russian port logistics, engineering, construction, and telecommunications, flourished.
In a very short period of time, you've grown your business from a small trading house to a huge industrial conglomerate that operates many things, and one of them is the ports.
Magomedov's wealth increased more than 10 times in a single year due to the so-called favoritism of Medvedev and the Russian state. And with this newfound money and status, Magomedov got heavily involved in charity work. According to his own website, he's given over $300 million to a range of causes, including education support, cultural heritage in Dagestan, sports, and more. And while Magomedov did some great charitable things with his money, not everything he had done was as wholesome. He's been accused of running a criminal organization through his company, bribing the Russian president, and was named on the notorious 6,000 list, a collection of names that enabled the Russian invasion of Ukraine in one way or another. On that list, Magomedov was accused of being friends with Putin and a corrupt businessman. But the poster boy of Magomedov's philanthropy was undoubtedly fellow Dagestani Khabib Nurmagomedov. Remember that fancy car Khabib was driving? And his willingness to give $200K to Tony Ferguson to fight? Well, it turns out that money wasn't Khabib's, and he never bought himself the Mercedes. Instead, that money came from Ziyavudin Magomedov. As is somewhat common in Russia, the ultra-rich oligarchs use some of their cash to prop up their local athletes. And for Magomedov, he took an interest in MMA in particular. You can date Magomedov's relationship with Khabib all the way back to mid-2015, after Khabib shared a photo of Magomedov and his late father, Abdul Manap. It's likely their friendship began even before this, but it really kick-started in 2016 after Khabib's 7th UFC victory. It was then when Khabib shared the photo of his new AMG GT that Magomedov had gifted him. From that moment on, Magomedov has reportedly backed Khabib financially in every way possible. He funded a costly back surgery in Germany back in 2017, expensed a lot of Khabib's travel and fight camps, and even helped set up Khabib's private training team, Eagles MMA. Eagles MMA is a small but state-of-the-art training facility in Russia, which had Khabib at its help, and his late father Abdulmanap as the head coach. His love for MMA became so strong that in 2017 it was rumored that Magomedov even tried to buy a stake in the UFC for $4 billion. Now, while that obviously never came to fruition, Magomedov decided to buy a different MMA promotion, Fight Nights Global, which now operates under the name AMC Fight Nights. It featured the likes of Fedor Emelianenko, Sergei Pavlovich, and numerous other Russian stars. But Magomedov's main focus was undoubtedly Khabib, and their partnership was working. With the help of Eagles MMA, Khabib was untouchable inside the octagon. His undefeated record continued to grow, his worldwide star power was reaching new heights, and he was crowned UFC lightweight champion after beating Al Iaquinta at UFC 223. But his post-fight speech was different. After the usual thanks to the UFC and my team, things have turned. Khabib asked Russia's President Vladimir Putin to release Magomedov, who was imprisoned just 1 week before the fight on charges of racketeering and embezzlement of state funds.
I hope, Ziyavudin helped a lot of athletes in Russia, and we have very big team, Eagles MMA in Russia, and but I hope it's okay. We pray for him.
According to Russia's side of the story, Magomedov had hidden approximately $180 million from the government. A large portion of this was in tax fraud, and around $35 million was embezzled during the construction of a World Cup football stadium in Kaliningrad by one of Magomedov's companies. But there's much more to the story than just that. When Putin returned to power in 2012, Magomedov's main company Summa began to struggle. Without the aid of the former president Medvedev, he wasn't able to secure the same lucrative deals he once was. So as a result, Magomedov began investing in other companies. This included becoming the co-executive chairman of Virgin Hyperloop One, alongside Richard Branson, pumping millions into Uber, Uber China, and various others. And apparently, Putin wasn't too happy about this. The idea of Russian money earned through help from the state during his absence being invested into not just foreign companies, but American and Chinese ones seriously angered him. And despite Magomedov's alleged attempts to bribe Putin with trips on super yachts, it clearly wasn't enough. Throughout Putin's second ruling, dozens of Russian oligarchs who made their money during Medvedev's time either fled the country or were arrested. For Magomedov, it's reported he tried to flee to Florida for a supposed medical treatment, but was arrested before that could take place. Magomedov denied all the charges put against him, yet was still held in pre-trial custody from early 2018 all the way to late 2022, where he was sentenced to 19 years in a high-security Russian prison. But while Magomedov has undoubtedly taken place in some shady dealings, this isn't a story of good versus evil. More, one corrupt group of people overthrowing another corrupt party. From Magomedov's side, he claims he fell out of favor with Putin, who instead sided with Nikolai Tokarev, the owner of the world's largest oil pipeline and a direct business competitor of Magomedov. He also went on to say the Russian state blackmailed Magomedov's company into selling a large stake in a port they owned for $750 million, and then seized the funds for themselves. In fact, Magomedov has recently filed a $14 billion lawsuit, claiming there was a state-backed conspiracy against him to imprison him and take integral parts of his company. And as the news of his arrest became public knowledge in 2018, it led to one of the most controversial, heated, and political UFC press conferences of all time.
Why you took money from Magomedov? Hold on, you took money. You took money from Magomedov, and you were a little lick-ass rat. Now what? Putin locked him up. Well, say something to Putin about locking Magomedov up. Say something. Say, ask him to release him again. Ask him to release him. Oh, now you don't understand. You mad rat. Talking about money, you don't do this, you don't do that. You're a fake, lying rat.
McGregor accused Khabib of kissing Magomedov's backside in return for money, and claimed that now Khabib's sponsor is locked up, his money is drying up fast. Some MMA fans pointed out the hypocrisy in Khabib being all about honor and integrity, yet happily taking money from a corrupt businessman like Magomedov when it suited him. And at the end of the UFC 229 press conference, McGregor turned his attention to Khabib's manager, Ali Abdelaziz.
Shut your mouth, Ali Abdelaziz, mad terrorist, terrorist snitch. I know a lot about you as well, you mad rat. I know a lot about you as well. You keep your mouth shut, kid. Let me take my picture. How's Noah? How's Noah, huh? Yeah, shut your mouth. Never speak about me, ever in your life. Watch yourself around me, because you'll be out here quick.
That's referring to a time back in 2002 when Ali was imprisoned in Colorado on charges of document forgery. And instead of serving punishment, Ali became a terrorist informant for the NYPD and FBI after being planted as a mole in a group called Muslims of America.
Connor called you a terrorist.
Brother,
listen, let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Why don't you defend yourself?
Brother, you know why I need to defend myself?
Yeah.
Because I guarantee you, this man will not say this in front of my eyes.
I mean, he said it right in front of you in the press conference.
With 100 security with cameras.
Well.
You understand? With cameras. Brother, listen to me. I'm gonna tell you something. This guy all these guys, they say it's not over. This. These guys, they not about this life.
During this time, Ali was one of the highest paid informants in the country. But according to the book Enemies Within, the federal agency suspected Ali was lying to them and cut ties with him. Ali then used the money he earned to begin Dominance MMA, a managerial company that now represents over 100 professional MMA fighters. And the most high-profile Dominance MMA fighters like Khabib, Justin Gaethje, Kamaru Usman, and Henry Cejudo have frequently been seen visiting the head of the Chechen Republic, Ramzan Kadyrov, the same man accused of war crimes, the purge of homosexual men in Chechnya, assassinations, and a host of other accusations.
У нас таких людей нету. Нету у нас геев. Если есть, заберите в Канаду. Хвала Аллаху, подальше от нас. Аузу билляхи мина шайтанир раджим. Чтобы не было, чтобы очистили кровь, если есть таких, пусть забирают.
And although not as close to Kadyrov as other fighters, Khabib has been seen with Kadyrov on numerous occasions. However, it's worth pointing out that saying no to invitations from people with power like Kadyrov probably isn't in your best interest, so he no doubt would have felt pressured to agree. For Khabib though, things have gone from bad to worse. Without the backing of Magomedov, Khabib recently found himself in financial troubles. Reports broke out of Khabib owing the Russian government over $3 million in unpaid taxes due to discrepancies in his business expenses.
That's typical rat behavior, scurrying rat. So he has bills to pay. Fight for Legacy, 2 main events or something he has in the UFC, and he owes his bollocks to the Russian government. So he'd want to pay his fucking money that he owes instead of siphoning it out through to other countries. So I'm ecstatic and delighted that that's coming on top of him. And we all will welcome him back into the fight game where he's ran from. It's a rat trap. The rat trap has been set. So we're excited about that and see where it goes. We notice him. We notice the little rat scurrying on back. We see him back around. Fat rat, we call him.
And there's currently an ongoing audit of Khabib's companies to get to the truth of the matter. But in the meantime, rumors are circulating that Khabib has fled to the UAE and has even gone as far as to get a citizenship in that country to avoid paying those taxes, essentially leaving Russia behind. Now, we don't know if that's 100% true or not, but it goes to show that Magomedov was a huge aid throughout Khabib's career. So the question is, was Khabib justified in accepting Magomedov's money? Unlike Kadyrov, Magomedov's crimes look to be purely financial. He hasn't hurt anyone, stolen anything, and is on record to have led many charitable acts. Without the training facilities, state-of-the-art medical procedures, and ability to travel, perhaps Khabib wouldn't have been the unstoppable force inside the octagon or the superstar that he became outside of it. So, purely from a career point of view, maybe it was all worth it. And in Khabib's defense, he isn't the only UFC fighter with connections to shady billionaires. Chimaev's relationship with Kadyrov is just as profound, if not more so. So check out my breakdown on whether Chimaev's relationship with Kadyrov banned him from entering the US and how it affected his activity inside the octagon.